Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers' Najee Harris receives major dig from Colts LB after loss. Pittsburgh Steelers running back Najee Harris received a shot that temporarily knocked him out of the Week 4 matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. He received another big shot on X, formerly Twitter, from Colts linebacker Zaire Franklin after the game. In response to an Indianapolis fan tweeting about the fact the Colts defense owned Harris on September 29, Franklin applied an adjective to the Steelers running back that no football player ever wants. "Kid is soft," Franklin wrote of Harris. 84 run harder. The number 84 Franklin was referred to was veteran running back Cordarrelle Patterson. Patterson only had 6 carries before exiting Week 4 with an injury. But he ran for 43 yards, averaging 7.2 yards per rush. Patterson's longest run of 12 yards wasn't far behind what Harris totaled for the entire game. Harris had 19 yards on 13 carries versus the Colts, running for under 1.5 yards per attempt. Expectations were pretty high that Harris would have at least a solid day against the Colts. Indianapolis came into the matchup with the number 31 run defense in the NFL. The Steelers finished Week 4 with 122 rushing yards, which is a respectable amount. But Patterson accounted for about one-third of that total, and quarterback Justin Fields led the team with 55 rushing yards. One thing working against Harris was a banged-up Steelers offensive line. Pittsburgh was still without their best lineman in left guard Isaac Seumalo in Week 4, and right guard James Daniels exited during the first half with an ankle injury. But behind the same banged-up offensive line, every other Steelers ball carrier averaged at least 5 yards per carry versus the Colts. Former undrafted free agent and practice squad elevation Aaron Shamklin had 1 rushing attempt, which was the first of his career. He gained 5 yards. Harris's 1.5 yards per carry average tied the lowest mark of his career. He also posted 1.5 yards per rush as a rookie in Week 15 against the Tennessee Titans. Despite the poor rushing day, Harris was still able to make an impact as a pass catcher. He hauled in 3 of 6 targets for 54 yards. In the second half, Harris had a 32-yard grab that he mostly created after the catch. That led to the Steelers' second touchdown. Harris actually suffered an injury on the play. He returned 2 plays later. After his last catch of the afternoon, though, Harris made a costly blunder. The fourth-year running back gained 11 yards on a short reception on 3rd and 22 with under 2 minutes left in regulation. The Steelers trailed by 3, so the catch allowed the team's offense to face a more manageable 4th down. The issue, though, was Harris failed to get out of bounds when he had the opportunity at the end of the run. Instead, the Colts dragged him down in bounds to ensure the clock continued to run before the 4th down try. The Steelers had 1 timeout remaining. But head coach Mike Tomlin elected to save the timeout to use just before kicking the potential game-tying field goal. So, the Steelers semi-rushed to the line of scrimmage to run the 4th down play. Fields was unable to find an open receiver on 4th down, and his pass fell incomplete. Steelers' Broderick Jones goes off on fans after receiving social media criticism. Pittsburgh Steelers right tackle Broderick Jones has had enough. He let all of his critics know that on X, formerly Twitter, on September 29. Following the team's 27-24 loss to the Indianapolis Colts in Week 4, Jones clapped back at multiple fans on X who criticized his play. It was the first time Jones had tweeted since January 15. "LOL bro, do you even know football?" Jones wrote in his first tweeted on September 29. Jones made similar responses to 8 other fans. "LOL, you don't know, expletive, about football I'm convinced," Jones wrote to another fan. Jones experienced a pretty strong rookie season, especially considering he switched to right tackle halfway through the 2023 campaign. but he struggled in week 2 of the preseason, and since then, he's becoming a lightning rod for social media users. It's not clear exactly what caused Jones to respond to fans after the Week 4 loss. None of the social media users directly tagged Jones with their tweets to get his direct attention. But the Steelers' right tackle still found the criticism and wrote back. Jones hasn't exactly played at a Pro Bowl level to begin this season. But some of the criticism he received on social media on September 29 seemed unjust or inaccurate. Jones' play, though, has left a lot to be desired. Before Week 4, 59 offensive tackles had played at least 50% of his team's offensive snaps. The Pro Football Focus player grades had Jones ranked last in that group. Even though Jones hasn't fared well in the PFF player grades, his play seemed serviceable during Week 1. But the Steelers had Jones play on a rotational basis in Week 2, where he didn't perform well at all. On the only drive he played during the game, Jones committed 3 penalties. Jones officially lost the right tackle job to rookie Troy Fautanu after that series. But Fautanu didn't make another start before suffering a regular season-ending injury on September 20. Jones has started the last 2 games since then. Right tackle isn't the only spot along the offensive line where the Steelers have a backup. The team finished Week 4 with 4 offensive linemen on the field who didn't begin the preseason as his position's projected starter. Steelers lose 2 to injury versus Colts. Pittsburgh Steelers right guard James Daniels and Cordarrelle Patterson both suffered ankle injuries and did not return in Sunday's 27-24 loss to the Indianapolis Colts. Outside linebacker Nick Herbig also sustained an ankle injury, but he returned in the second half. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin did not specifically address Daniels and Patterson's injuries in his post-game press conference. "We had some bumps and bruises along the way," Tomlin said. "But that's the nature of this thing. It didn't determine the outcome of this game. The quality of our play, or the lack thereof, did. And I own that. We own that." Patterson's injury occurred later in the second quarter after a 10-yard run to set the Steelers up at the Colts' 25-yard line. George Pickens fumbled on the next play, and Colts safety Julian Blackmon recovered the loose ball, however. Patterson had runs of 12, 11, 9, and 10 yards to get the Steelers deep in Colts territory. He also had a 14-yard reception on the drive. Patterson finished with 43 yards rushing on 6 carries, 7.2 average, while Najee Harris rushed for 19 yards on 13 carries, 1.9 average. Fields was the Steelers' leading rusher with 55 yards on 10 carries, 5.5 average, and 2 touchdowns. The Steelers came into Sunday's game short at running back, with Jaylen Warren out due to a knee injury. Aaron Shampklin was elevated for Sunday's game to replace Warren, who was pulled from last Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Steelers chose to elevate Shampklin over veteran running back Jonathan Ward, who was also on the practice squad. Daniels went down with an ankle injury on the offense's first possession of Sunday's game. Daniels walked off the field slowly under his own power and went into the blue medical tent. He was then carted off the field. Second-year offensive lineman Spencer Anderson replaced Daniels at right guard. On the play that Daniels got injured, Justin Fields completed a 17-yard pass to Calvin Austin III to move the chains on 3rd and 9. The Steelers' possession ultimately stalled after an unnecessary roughness penalty on Anderson. Anderson hit a defender in the back after the play. The Steelers were with 2 young guards, as rookie Mason McCormick was starting in place of injured guard Isaac Seumalo, who missed his 4th game with a preseason pectoral injury. Anderson started the first 3 games that Seumalo missed, but last week against the Los Angeles Chargers, McCormick got his first NFL playing time. Patterson and Daniels' injuries will be something to monitor throughout the week ahead of next Sunday's game against the Dallas Cowboys. Tomlin will provide an injury update during his weekly Tuesday press conference. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of James Daniels? Leave your opinion in the comments.